G'day, I'm Alister Christie from LearnDelphi.tv, and I've written a book. It's called Code Faster in Delphi, and the ebook is available now from Leanpub. So you can go to this URL and grab yourself a copy. It's all about being more productive in the Delphi IDE, and I cover lots of topics, and one of those topics is keyboard shortcuts. And we're going to look at a few of those today. The first shortcut I want to cover is Ctrl+W. Now in the book I've called it Select, Identifier and Expand. So if I just find a large method and click on something and go Ctrl+W, we'll see that's selected that identifier, but each time I press it, it slightly expands the scope of the selection until we've now got the if clause, and then we've got the if statement, the internal code for this method, and then I keep going up the whole method, and then in fact this all the methods, the implementation, and then the entire unit. So that's a pretty handy shortcut. And for the next shortcut, I'm just going to remove some of these brackets, and this will probably still compile. But if I wanted to put them back, it would take me just as long to do it manually. But what I can do is I can just select the bit that I want, or I could use Ctrl+W. No, it doesn't quite work how I wanted, but I can just press the bracket key to insert the brackets at the beginning and end of the selection. Now this works for your standard parentheses, but also square brackets and curly brackets. So it's a great way of commenting out some code. You can just do it like that, although that's somewhat formatted strangely. Or you can just use the Control/, which is generally what I use. So those shortcuts are called smarts around, or smarts around keys, and they can be used on any selection. Now, I'd expect quite a lot of you would have already known those last two shortcuts, the smarts around and the Ctrl+W selection, but this next one is quite obscure. Let's just do some selection this way. So I've selected from the top to the bottom, and I decided I needed to include that update screen. I could just do the selection again, or I could press Shift down arrow, or use the Shift cursor keys until I'd selected what I wanted. But what if I wanted to select further up? For instance, if I wanted to include this if statement as well in the selection. Now, really, the only way you might think of doing that is just highlighting again, but what you can do is press Ctrl+Q+B, which moves the cursor to the beginning of the block, and then I can change the selection with the Shift key, going Shift up, and I can go Ctrl+Q+K to go to the end, and back up to the beginning, Ctrl+Q+B, and so on. So that's a really sort of obscure keyboard shortcut, but it's quite handy if you can remember it. I've been aware of it for quite some time, but I can never remember to use it, and it's always quicker just to do the selection than go look it up. But I will endeavour to remember it now that I've made a video on it. So I hope you found those shortcuts helpful. They can improve your productivity, and I have hundreds of other keyboard shortcuts in the book, plus all sorts of useful tips and tricks on using the Delphi IDE and third-party plugins. So do head on over to leanpub/codefaster in Delphi and grab yourself a copy. I'll actually have a proper web page for it at some point. But until then, you can do that, or just go to my LearnDelphi.tv. There'll definitely be a link from it. Okay, there'll definitely be the advert here, which I'll have to get around to making that look a little bit better. But until next time, I'll probably do more promotional videos, so look out for them. Cheers, I'm Alister Christie.